We are practically there now. Okay. All I want to do now is to show you how to apply style to the entire form. Okay, so that is sections 21 in the instruction, sorry. And then we're going to look at our code. If we were to validate our code, what sort of issues are going to arise regarding errors and also regarding any comments or warnings. And we look at applying this to your coursework-based continuous assessment as well, making a form page for the Ring of Gullion website. Okay, so how do we apply style to the form? Well, here's the style that we want. That's what it looks like, essentially just a cyan area that all the form elements are inside. Again, let's look at that first. Okay, so there it is there. Just form, background cyan, and padding 35. Okay, so that's going to push the contents inside the form, so the field sets won't be touching the form boundary. Let's run that. That's it there. Okay, so here's our padding here, and because it's just padding, what's it, 35 is it? Padding 35. Okay, so that's constant for all four sides. So you can see that they're all pushed in by 35 from the contents inside the form tag. Okay, that is essentially it. What you've done there is you've created a HTML web page that's a form. We basically have everything, including the kitchen sink in here, all sorts of form elements, many of which are used very rarely. The color input tag, for example. So what do you need to take from this? Hopefully you built this page, you've got this page. Hopefully you will look at it now and think, those styles are absolutely dreadful, I could do better myself. Okay, go for it. When you're starting to think about designing a form, you'll sort of say to yourself, well, what are the best form elements that I need? How many form elements do I need? What sort of text boxes do I need? Number text boxes, email text boxes, date text boxes, password text boxes, just ordinary text boxes, selection lists, single or multiple, and so on, these sort of issues. Do I want the user to type in a large amount of text in a multi-line text box? If so, use a text area like here. Let's look at our code and let's try and test it. Sorry, I'm looking here. Here's my final value here. Now I've got some CSS in here, which is from an older example, which we need not concern us today. So let's get rid of that, and let's actually validate the CSS first of all. So all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to copy my CSS here. Okay, like so. So I exclude the style tag from this embedded, and then I just go and do a search for CSS validator and add in the word jigsaw as well. For some reason jigsaw is in here. One of those things I keep meaning to look up, why is the CSS validator got jigsaw? I never get around to it. Maybe I'm happy to live with uncertainty. Here we go. Okay, so that CSS has validated to level 3, which is relatively new CSS. And if I wanted, I could copy that tag there, that paragraph tag there, and I could paste that inside. And if I actually did that, I would get an error message here because I am setting my style inline. Probably not a good idea to set your style inline. Okay, so we've got no error found in my CSS. What about my HTML? No jigsaw needed here. So let's take the first link, HTML validator, take the first link in the search engine and validate by direct input. So we can just go copy everything, Control A, Control C, and let's come back here and paste that in here. And what I'm actually going to do here is let's just get rid of the style tag here because we've already validated our style. Okay, so I don't need that, so let's just get rid of that. Okay, and let's check. I've got some JavaScript in there somewhere. Let's not worry about that too much. Okay, it's just another example I was working. Okay, so here's all my HTML for the completed form page. Now, as we go down through it, we've got a few errors here, and I got warning. Okay, this button here, message filtering, toggles. Okay, that can give us a quick overview of how many errors we have and how many times we have each error. Okay, so if you click on that, it gives you a useful summary here. Okay, so I've got 3 errors here: stray end tag label, and then I've got 2 errors about attribute, a big fancy word for property. Okay, so it doesn't like required, and I can go down here in a bit more detail here, and you can hopefully you see the problem there. I'm closing the label tag there twice. So line 62, it's giving me grief about that. Line 62, and it's not there. Oh, that's because I deleted some code from that. So I'm looking for where there we go. Okay, so that shouldn't be there. Okay, is that match up with that? ty label label, ty label label. Okay, so that needs to go. And then what else is it annoyed with me at? Required is only allowed when the input type is all of these. Okay, input, text box, okay, checkbox, date, email, file, month, number. It's not allowed on the data list element or tag. Okay, and it's not allowed when type equals color. Okay, so type equals color is giving me an error, and the data list required is giving me an error as well. Okay, so where is favorite color? Okay, so I can delete that, and my data list as well. Okay, so let's save that. Let's take all of that and come back up here again. Okay, now I've copied my changed text. I want to paste it in here. I don't want to start backspace and all that. Okay, life's too short. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do Control A, which selects the original text HTML code that I tried to validate. Okay, so I did Control A to select that old stuff, and remember I've already copied the new stuff. So I'm going to hit backspace. That gets rid of that, and then I'm going to do Control V, and hopefully that is the new code. So let's click check here, and what am I getting? I'm getting 2 warnings, and I'm getting no errors. Okay, so I fixed my errors, and what is it telling me here? Let's try and have absolutely fantastic code here. Okay, the type attribute for the style element is not needed. Attribute, property, element, tag. Okay, so line 10, if we come back up here, the reason I have this in the first place is because the previous version of XHTML, before HTML5, you had to have it in there. Okay, so I'm lost in the past, I'm afraid. So that's that error, that warning fixed. Warnings don't really make any difference. Okay, and then line 1, consider adding a language attribute or property to the HTML. Okay, we could do that just to show you how you do that. You just type lang equals and then en for English. Okay, you could do that. So let's copy that. Control A, Control C, come back here, and this time I'm going to do Control A and Control V. Okay, so that should mean I have no warnings and no errors. Okay, so ideally, you want that. Okay. Practically, ideally, you want no errors. If you have a few warnings, we won't worry too much about them, but try and get rid of them all. You can see there, lang equals en. Okay, so where are we? We have typed in all the HTML tags for our form elements. We have added in properties such as autofocus, placeholder, min, max, size, max length, and so on. Required, checked, all of those form element properties, and we have applied style to some of them. Okay, and we've looked at pseudo classes for our text boxes, changing background color when the mouse is over, and so on. So we are now ready to, hopefully you're ready for this, is to try the Classwork CA mark. Okay, there's a few marks going for this. Essentially, what do we want you to do? Create a fifth web page for the Ring of Gullion website called contact.html. Okay, so again, take your index.html, save as contact.html, okay, and basically gut the article section there and put in a form like that. Okay, so you now know absolutely everything about form elements. So your task here is to decide what tags you are not going to use. Okay, less is more. Okay, so you need to look at the screenshot here and what sort of tags am I using in there? Mostly text boxes, but what sort of text boxes? Have we got a selectionist, radio buttons, anything like that? Is there a checkbox? How do I add in blank space between these two, between these submit and reset buttons? Okay, and notice the footer contents and style is the same. The links content is style is the same, except we've added in an extra page here. Okay, so originally we had 3 pages. In fact, there should be the rocks.html should be in here as well for submenus, and we've got the header here. So let me show you that page working. Where is it? Contact here. Okay, so let's run here. Okay, in fact, let me just give you a quick overview of the code. Okay, so same idea: body, div, container, header, nav. Here's the extra link in here. Of course, really this should be inside an unordered sliced item, but let's leave that to one side. Notice here, class equals current. Okay, let's think about that. If I run that, I can create a style called current. Okay, a class style called current CSS selector, and then whatever web page is in use, we can have that background light green color coming up there. Okay, so that's a very useful way to show the user what page of all the pages in the website that we are actually on. Okay, so here is the form. I'm not going to show you the code for all this. I want you to have a think about it. Just notice these 2 text boxes directly aligned under each other. These 5 form elements directly aligned under each other, but aligned in a different way to this. Okay, the width of these labels is different to the width of these labels. So how would you set the width of some labels, i.e. these 2? How would you set the width of some labels here, i.e. these 5? How would you set the width of some labels here? So some, S-O-M-E, not S-U-M. Okay, what sort of CSS selector do we need for that? Okay, so click here. I'm getting an error message. Let's put something in there. Okay, I am required to put something in there. House number, not essential. Notice when these up and down arrows appear here, I can't type in alphabetic characters. Okay, has to be numeric. So numeric text box has an up and down. Where are we? Okay, something else in there. Extra address if needed. If it's needed. If it's not, that's okay too. So that should not be compulsory. Okay, so have a go at that. and then